When I look at the instrument as a guitar maker, I'm looking for the personality of the maker. Volume, it's not one of my foremost aspects or aims I'm heading for. You can always start from the very beginning and make a new one. You always get a new chance for what you're doing. No.
Oh, stop.
No, it is not predictable. With some experience, one can limit, the number of negative or not guitars you're not thinking of. In the beginning, the things do what they want to do with you, and not vice versa. And later, or after a couple of instruments or years, your experience might tell you that this is going to be a nice guitar. But I had the experience, and friends and colleagues had the same. When one is making 3 or 4 guitars at one time, the one that was the most, silent or undercover guitar, so you didn't take very much notice of, turned out in the end to be the finest one, or the big surprise one. So predictable to the last percent, it's not possible, I think, because wood is a material that it's not predictable, and if you cut 2 tops, you take from one tree, even from the same, very close, if they're very close to each other, you have to treat them in a different way. When I stopped making mistakes, I'm not an astrologist. I don't know what lies in my future. I haven't made the guitar without any mistakes or little hopperlas, as we say in German, yet. Very rarely. So it always depends on what you define when you think of a mistake. Of course, you need some kind of experience with your hands and with the tools, getting used to work with a scraper or a plane to dimensions where you haven't been before yet in the beginning, and to take off one very thin shave, it's easier in the later years. But it takes me a very, very long time, to get used to things and to learn things. That's my character. It happened in school, and I have to repeat many processes quite often. Yeah, so if it's in tennis or guitar making or mathematics, whatever. So I can't tell you an exact number, but as my teacher said once, the best guitar is the one I'm going to build. Yeah? Or as soon as I put strings on, he said, it's the next guitar it's going to sound better. When I check a guitar or play a guitar, it's one of the first points on my checklist is, can I play the instrument pianissimo, even in the highest notes? So when I pluck it, it's not a sound coming out of the guitar, but a note that, ping, and that note carries on. Then the quality of sound, the colors along the string, yes. One should play very sharp notes, very sharp crystal-like sounds, and then you shift the point where you pluck the strings. And for example, on the sixth string, on the E string, you have a very mellow, deep, sonore sound. Separation of notes is an important topic to me, because when you play guitar and the sound mangles up and get some kind of wishy-washy, that's not what I'm interested in, because that makes listening very hard. A lot of overtones the guitar should have, or each note should have a huge amount of overtones to be understood in the distance. That makes listening easier. Volume, it's not one of my foremost aspects or aims I'm heading for. Of course, a guitar has to have a certain strength, but for me more important is projection, a topic that's very difficult to teach and to understand, and for a beginner or for even the mid-advanced players, they rarely have an idea of the topic of projection. That means an instrument might sound not very loud on your ears or when you play it, but it can fill a hall to the very last row. So the note carries on, or the sound carries on. I had that experience several times in my life with wonderful guitars. I had in my hands, and you thought, oh well, it's nice to play in a small room. And then I heard that instrument in a concert hall with 1,200 listeners. I was sitting in the last row, and I thought the player was just sitting in front of me. That's very hard to learn. It's very hard to teach. Many people are not experienced to do this, so I can't tell them as a guitar maker, you will hear the guitar will sound in the hall very, very lovely, and it's strong enough. But yeah, it took me 25 years to learn that. Yes, and action, playability. These are my checkpoints for an instrument, Aside from me, when I look at the instrument as a guitar maker, I'm looking for the personality of the maker. If he or she tried to express what they felt, or if I can see a trace of their imagination and personality. So many of the young makers are very talented. They're very skilled in making guitars, but most of them lack personality. So this is a matter of getting older, but the wish to create a unique instrument, unique inlays, I think that's, for me as a maker, a very highly valued criteria. I can confirm that, especially for the spruce. When I was a beginner, I thought, though, that's a legend, urban legend, that's talk coming from the violin makers and the violin players. So to create a mystery around instruments and, to create a very special and secretive atmosphere, environment. Today, I know that instruments develop over the time if they're played well, especially the spruce. A spruce top guitar is, you get what you put in. So you have to treat the instrument in the proper way. For example, or what do I mean with this? For example, if you play with very long nails and this old technique like Segovia or Tariga plays, you with this technique you just stimulate the higher frequencies, the overtones of a note, and not the base fundamentals of a note. So when you play this style, the spruce top will always follow your intentions by or what you put in. So she will be trained like a human being in a physical exercise studio. So that top will be trained to follow the high, to play the higher frequencies only. I had once a customer who got a very nice guitar, and after half a year he said, "Oh, may I drop by? I have problems with the guitar because the bass has disappeared." And I said, come to my workshop, and he showed me the guitar, and really the bass has disappeared. I said, "Show me how you play," and I saw that he was playing in the old style, so he didn't encourage or force the basses. So the guitar, it just followed his intentions or what he could play. Then he learned the new technique that most of the players play today, with a different angle of touching the string. And so he got the deeper notes again, and after half a year or a couple of months, the guitar came back. So in a good spruce guitar, you get what you put in. And breaking in an instrument or an instrument matures, I can confirm that. I heard many of my guitars and others after a couple of years of being played. And sometimes I'm very, in a positive way, very excited how they developed. No, I don't think that the absolute number of years is important, but the way how you mature the wood. So it's a difference. You can put a spruce top in the shelf of your workshop for 20 years, and that would be, maybe it makes up a nice top. But if you put it outside, I put my wood outside. That's what I learned. I put outside in a hut, in a little wooden shed. So all the woods are exposed to the climatic changes throughout the year. So that means dry, humid atmosphere, environment, hot, cold. So especially in spruce, the oxidation process is increased, and what we are looking for in the guitar is, as the guitar has many companions in terms of frequency. So it's a mid-range instrument, and the greater the amount of overtones is, the easier it is to listen to that guitar, or the guitar can compete better with other instruments. So if I take the guitar top that has been in the shelf in the workshop for 20 years, and the guitar top from outside that lay there for 20 years, everybody would realize or recognize the difference in sound when you tap it, or when you just slide along the fibers. The top that has been aged outside will sound very crisp, fresh. The most important factor, the most important stage, is me or you. I don't think that there is one particular step in the process of building a guitar, of course, one has to keep in mind to take care of the top and, working with high concentration on several steps. But it is the most important step, I think, is that one has to have an image or an idea of how one's model or guitar works. Yeah. If you want to build a Fleta guitar or a Hauser guitar or a Santos guitar model, then you have to follow the basic idea of the concept of the guitar. And as soon as you leave this frame or this trace, you lose. That's very simple. It starts cutting the wood or buying wood. If you buy mediocre or nice wood or exceptional wood, that's the main decision one has to make. And if you buy mediocre or very mean or very bad wood, one cannot make a good guitar. So the process starts there. You have to know what you want to make, what kind of quality you're looking for, or kind of texture the wood has to have. It's a matter of character, of evolution of yourself. My teacher said once, the guitar is an expression of ourselves, of yourself, and that's a very good expression, because it includes your personality and not an abstract copying of a guitar plan. It needs more than numbers. The biggest, the most funny. It was I think it was on my 13th guitar. Everybody who believes in the power of the number 13, will, his or her ears will now getting bigger. And this on my 13th guitar, when I put the guitar together, put the back on, and I wanted to untighten the screw of the clamp that held the guitar on the solera. Somehow the nut came loose, and the screw turned through over and over. Yes, and I had to, I think, as far as I remember, I had to drill some holes through the solera to get hold of this nut again. And then on the very same guitar that was finished, I put strings on for the first time, tuned it, and suddenly it made a very sharp noise of cluck. And I looked around and had a close look at the guitar and couldn't find anything, and tried to tune it up and play it, and somehow noticed that the action was surprisingly low. Then I noticed that the piece on the bridge in front of the nut, or in the front of the saddle, had broken, and so the saddle collapsed, and a number of funny mistakes that can happen. I can't remember. Passion. Passion, yes. Yes, of course. Now I can make a list of all the technical criteria. Your hands or I don't know what your hands must fulfill. But these physical things you can learn. Almost everybody can learn. But passion. is the most important one. I met José and Marion. You always have to name both. Marion is his wife, and I met them in 1984 in Switzerland. It was the first guitar making course, a long one, 3 weeks long, and was the first guitar making course at that level in the world. So I got in. I could join this group of 12 people by sheer luck or coincidence. And most of the participants were absolute beginners, maybe had made 1 or 2 guitars. I think there were 1 or 2 more experienced ones. And we got in touch with the world of the Spanish guitar, I think we made maybe it was a Torres guitar with a mixture of a Hauser pattern, I think, of a strutting system. And José just presented us with the idea of a Spanish-sounding guitar, we had to learn everything there, how to handle a scraper, how to sharpen a blade, a plane, and get in touch with almost everything. We had to build our own solera and some other jigs there, so it took 3 weeks. And in the following years, it was in 1988 and 89 and 92, I attended the next courses made by him. And they took place in Belgium and in Cordoba in Spain. And, they took two weeks, and we always built a different kind of Torres guitar. So, and got familiar with various building techniques, but in the focus it was the Spanish sound, or José's sound of guitar. It was mostly influenced by Spanish guitars and Hermann Hauser guitars as well. And during these courses we learned, it was world-class level. To be with a person like him was not an everyday experience. José was a very charming character and a very impressive person. And in 1993, I was his assistant in Cordoba, the very first one of a number of assistants. And being on the other side in a course was an extremely new experience. Aside from getting in touch with the Spanish sound, we were trained or just strongly influenced. With me, I mean several makers and friends, that have become internationally well known. There is quite a number of people, they're world famous now, I think. And meeting José and getting in touch with his criteria of guitar making, we all wouldn't have gone or got so far. And aside from the sound, we get in touch with his beautiful inlays, or the art of making inlays, and give an instrument a very intimate and personal touch. Creating a rosette or making a rosette was, one has just to do it. It's the lowest limit, and everything above is, it's everyday's business. Buying a rosette or inlays, forget it. And that was his way of making guitars. If you look at his latest the guitars of his last 20 years of his career, he puts the high level even higher. that gives everybody, every guitar maker, an idea of what can be done. You know, making a rosette and then using a black-white purfling. Or, yeah, okay, yeah. That's children's games. With very few words, I want to make my next guitar should be better than the last one. It's very simple, and that doesn't mean that I'm not proud of a couple of guitars that I've made in the past, but that's one of the most beautiful aspects of guitar making. You can always start from the very beginning and make a new one. You always get a new chance for what you're doing, and yeah, that's my hope. That I want to create not a better guitar. You know, better is a peculiar word, but a guitar that points towards a secret, or a guitar that comforts one's soul.